Graphic mission. The second plane was able to land safely, and 7 people escaped injury when Dugan's plane struck their mobile home. More news coming up in just a moment.
Cattle rancher Joanne Dalton on Farm Credit.
We received our first loan from the land bank in 1956. We liked the fact that they knew the cattle business, but more importantly, they gave us a long-term package we really needed. And dealing with PCA for short-term money is exactly the same. They're there when you need them. No other lender can do what Farm Credit can.
Farm Credit has the right solution for Joanne Dalton and the right solution for you. The Federal Land Bank for long-term financing, and PCA for short and intermediate-term operating capital. Agriculture is the only business we lend money to, and we're ready to do business with you.
The real advantage of Farm Credit is we've got one basic system to handle all our lending needs. There's no reason to change. Farm Credit has been and still is the best solution for us.
The Federal Land Bank and PCA, part of the Farm Credit System. Working together, we do it all.
Your local land bank and production credit associations are listed in the white pages.
From KSL Radio News, 535.
State legislators will decide this fall whether to support a Utah-drafted resolution that asks Congress to prohibit Indian tribes from taxing or governing non-Indians on reservation land. Utah State Senator Glade Sowards says a committee of the National Conference of State Legislatures, meeting in New Orleans yesterday, moved the resolution ahead. It will be formally voted on this fall in Washington. Check of the regional area weather coming up in just a moment. Right now in downtown Salt Lake City, it's 76 degrees. I'm Cornelia DeBruin, KSL News.
Around the west this hour, Albuquerque is partly cloudy and 68 degrees. At Boise, Idaho, clear and 57. A cool 59 at Casper and 59. Denver, high clouds and 59. Great Falls, 55 degrees and a few clouds there. Las Vegas, some high clouds and already 85. And here in Salt Lake City, we have clear skies and 76 degrees. For Montana, east of the Divide, mostly sunny to the west today. Scattered showers and thunderstorms to the east. West of the Divide, mostly sunny today and Thursday with a warming trend. Today's high in the 80s. For Wyoming, clear to partly cloudy for the Cowboy State through Thursday. Isolated afternoon thunder showers. Highs will be in the 80s and the overnight lows in the 40s and 50s. Northern and central Nevada, mostly sunny days, some evening thunderstorms. Southern Nevada, mostly sunny with highs near 115, becoming fair late tonight. For northern Idaho, sunny and warmer today and Thursday. Southwestern Idaho, mostly sunny and smoky today, with highs near 100. Southeastern Idaho, mostly sunny and locally smoky, and an increasing chance of thunderstorms near the mountains later on today. For the Beehive State, isolated to widely scattered thunderstorms in the northwest and scattered thunderstorms in the south and east through Thursday. Little cooler. Daytime highs forecast in the 80s to mid-90s, and the overnight lows in the upper 50s to upper 60s, depending on where you are statewide. Real warm overnighter, John Berg. Right now we have 76 degrees at KSL Radio Broadcast House.
Coming up for the state of Utah, Friday through Sunday. Yes, here's your weekend weather forecast. Partly cloudy with widely scattered afternoon and evening thunderstorms, mainly in eastern and southern Utah. Highs upper 80s to mid-90s in the north, and lows tonight mostly in the 60s. At the airport in Salt Lake City this hour, we have fair skies, 75 degrees, relative humidity at 39%. The wind from the southeast at 15. We had a lot of wind last night at my house in West Jordan.
It was windy.
The barometer, 30.1 inch and rising. Overnight low at the airport. What it is right now, 75 degrees. That's warm.
Wow, that really is. From KSL 538.
Hi, this is Farm News Director John Berg. Don't miss the KSL Greenhouse Show Saturday morning beginning at 8:40 a.m. here on 1160 KSL Radio. Bigger and better this season. A host of experts offer tips on lawn care, gardening, canning, and food storage. You're also invited to call in your gardening questions. So join me this Saturday and let KSL help you put the color green in your summer of 86. The Greenhouse Show, heard only on 1160 KSL Radio.
So you're going to talk about preparing your fruit trees for the fall.
It's just around the corner,
coming
so
Saturday.
to speak. We will have with us Dr. Tony Hatch.
Where did the summertime go?
Where's it going? State Fruit Specialist Dr. Tony Hatch, our special guest. That's Saturday at 8:36 here at KSL. And looking now at yesterday's farm market activity, we have a report from Don Peterson.
Grain and soybean prices were lower for the second day in a row on the Chicago Board of Trade and closed at or near session lows. Most of the pressure came from the weather and widespread selling. Professional and commission house selling was attributed to news that the corn and soybean crops are in good to excellent condition. What's more, growing conditions across the grain belt should remain favorable for the rest of the week. About the only good news was light commercial buying and the lack of country movement, which kept the floor under prices. Soybeans were depressed by scattered showers in the southeast and forecast for rain in portions of the Midwest. At the close, corn was off 1/2 to 2 1/2, soybeans down 3 3/4 to 9, wheat was off 2 1/2 to 5 1/4. Meat futures were mostly lower at the Chicago Mercantile Exchange. Live cattle 37 points higher to 85 lower. Live hogs were down 52 to the 150-point limit. Pork bellies were down 155 points to the 200-point limit. Don Peterson, Chicago.
Wyoming and Nebraska have now joined to ship 300,000 pounds of cracked beans to Florida this week for distribution to the needy in Caribbean countries. The beans, called splits, will leave Gering, Nebraska in 2 railroad cars on Friday. Organizers for the project that's being called Share the Harvest say they will continue to send splits rather than the more costly whole beans. Share the Harvest coordinator Joe Masick says his group will buy whatever is the best value for the money, and splits are usually sold for half the price of whole beans. He adds that when beans are a person's only meal, beans are beans. Share the Harvest, now in its 2nd year, has distributed thousands of pounds of Wyoming and Nebraska beans to schools, rest homes, and missionaries in Haiti. Researchers have now unleashed 20 Greek moths that they say will sap the strength of one of Idaho's noxious weeds. Federal and state scientists have turned the moths loose in the Magic Valley to attack knapweed and spotted knapweed. The moths can't topple the wildly prolific weeds alone, but researchers say they may put a crimp in the plant's life cycle and make it more vulnerable to other competitors. University of Idaho research entomologist Joel McCaffrey says each of the 20 moths will lay about 140 eggs, which hatch into hungry larvae. The young eat their way into the roots of the plant, which disintegrates the plant's foothold. The damage allows other microorganisms to invade the plant. It also makes it easier for other plants to crowd out the weeds. Agriculture Secretary Richard Ling says that he is stepping up now a multi-million-dollar program to expand overseas sales of American walnuts. Ling says he's adding $2 million to the fund already set aside for the walnut export program. That will help offset a retaliatory increase imposed by the European community in the import duty on U.S. walnuts in the shell. The extra money brings the total for the program to $9 million. USDA officials say the best prospects for increased walnut sales are in Western Europe, Japan, Taiwan, and Australia. A poll shows President Reagan's popularity among Iowa farmers has dropped 11 points in just 2 months. A poll published in the Des Moines Register shows only 31% of Iowa farmers approve of the job the president's doing, 52% disapprove. Last September, when financially strapped farmers generally blamed administration farm policies for their troubles, the president's disapproval rating overall climbed to 72%. Reagan still remains popular among all Iowans polled. His approval rating is listed at 49%, with 35% disapproving of his handling of the job of president. Senate Republican leader Robert Dole of Kansas says he and Secretary of State Schultz have now agreed to stop bickering over President Reagan's offer to sell subsidized wheat to the Soviet Union. Schultz has denounced the sale offer several times since it was announced last Friday. He's quoted in one newspaper as saying the Soviets must be chortling because the subsidized sales will make the price cheaper in their country than it is in the United States. Dole says he has told Schultz he's more concerned about how the sales would benefit American farmers than how they'd help the Soviet consumers. And he says he and Schultz have agreed to let the matter drop. So far this year, Moscow has bought only a fraction of the American wheat required under its grain sales agreement with Washington. The Kremlin says that's because it can buy wheat more cheaply right now from other countries. An Agriculture Department report says the Middle East, which has been the world's leading market for poultry imports, is now building up domestic production of broilers and eggs. A report in the August issue of USDA's Foreign Agriculture magazine cites statistics that show Middle Eastern egg imports in 1985 dropped 21% from the previous year, and poultry imports were down 7%. The report by Leonidas Bill Emerson of the Foreign Agriculture Service says declining imports are partly a result of lower oil revenues which have reduced the demand for all imported food. KSL News Time now, 5:44.
Well, the Utah Jazz got some good news after the bad news that Dr. J's not coming to town. Assistant coach Jerry Sloan has withdrawn his name from consideration for the Indiana Pacers head coaching job. In Sioux City, Iowa, Paige Brake is one of only 4 undefeated teams out of a 48-team field of the International Softball Congress Championship. Salt Lake Trappers have the day off, but a 14-hour bus trip after beating Medicine Hat 2-0 Tuesday night in Alberta. National League winners yesterday: Chicago, Montreal blanked Pittsburgh, St. Louis, Atlanta, Cincinnati defeated San Francisco 11-6, and Houston over the Dodgers. American League, Detroit defeated Cleveland twice, Milwaukee over New York in 10 innings, Kansas City, Baltimore, Chicago, California, and Oakland, the winner over Chicago. National Football League exhibition game, Houston 17, the Los Angeles Rams 14. There's some of your morning sports. More is on the way from CBS and Jim Braden in the 6 o'clock hour from 1160 KSL.
I'll be there in a hurry. On that you can depend and never worry. You see, my love is alive. It's like a seed that only needs the thought of you to grow. So if you feel the need for company, please, my darling, let it be me. Of the love I feel for you. But a writer put it very nicely. When he was away from the one he loved, he sat down and wrote these words. No wind, no wind, no rain, no rain. Oh, winter's cold. Can't stop me, babe. Oh, babe, baby, baby. You're my gold.
Good old Diana Ross stuff from 1160 KSL 550 and Ain't No Mountain.
Experience a Brazilian adventure with Murdoch Travel. Visit Iguazu Falls, Rio, Salvador de Bahia, Brasilia, Manaus. Cruise the tropical islands and explore the mysterious Amazon jungle. Departure August 27th. Gracias, Murdoch.
Hofburn Motors in Tooele has your new Mercury Sable in stock and only $99 over factory invoice.
You did hear right. Hofburn Motors has Mercury Sables at $99 over invoice.
Jim has just 6 Sables to choose from, so you'd better hurry.
Hofburn Motors also has a good selection of Ford Taurus, and they're priced right. Visit Hofburn Motors today and get your Mercury Sable at only $99 over invoice. Hofburn Ford, Mercury, Chrysler, Plymouth, and Dodge in Tooele. At Hofburn Motors, we make a good deal better. From KSL 551, the morning edition of the West today. Mark Van Wagoner's on vacation. This is Danny Jessup, but John Bird, your regularly scheduled farm news person, is here with agribusiness news. Johnny?
And looking right now at Denver grain prices, we see number 1 hard winter wheat at $224 to $231 a bushel. Number 2 yellow corn, $372 to $390 a hundredweight. Number 2 barley at $280 a hundredweight. Ogden grain prices under 11 wheat is at $225 to $235 a bushel. Number 11 at $230 to $242. Number 12 at $242 to $262 a bushel. Number 13 at $254 to $274 a bushel. Number 13 spring wheat at $254 to $264. Number 1 soft white wheat at $240 to $245 a bushel. No bid on number 2 yellow corn. Number 2 barley is at $350 a hundredweight, and no bid on oats. The goal of the Utah Hay Day effort yesterday was to send 1,000 tons of hay to the southeast, and a last-minute contribution made that goal a reality. The donation of 100 tons was made by none other than the Utah Power and Light Company. Spokesman John Ward says the hay is coming from the company's research farms in Emery County.
One of our executives was seeing the news and all the efforts that have been going on around the country and realized that we were just getting in our second crop of hay at our farms in Emery County and thought that it would be a good time to pitch in and help a little bit. And it ended up that we had a surplus of some hay in this crop and decided this would be a good time to go ahead.
Ward says the hay was grown with wastewater from the power plants, but that hay is still top quality.
It's an alfalfa hay, and the hay has been of top quality in the past couple of years. And we had this particular crop analyzed. It's very high in protein, and it's good hay that's going to be going back southeast.
Now, as for what that donation means to the entire Utah Hay Day effort, here's Stan Bell with the Utah Farm Bureau Federation.
That means that 23 cars from Utah, 20 that were lined up, plus the 3 cars that Utah Power and Light's donating, so at least 23 cars are going to be headed down south to help those guys out. And that's not going to solve all their problems. We understand that, but it's the thought of caring about somebody else, especially when you're in tough times. I think it's got to make those guys down south feel good to know that somebody up here cares about them, and farmers all over the nation have gone out of their way even though they're in tough times.
The effort by the Utah Farm Bureau Federation and Utah Department of Agriculture to get Utah hay donated and shipped to the southeast has been a total volunteer effort. One such volunteer was 39-year-old Isaac Fritz of Taylorsville, who helped load hay on a railroad car in Midvale.
I was just trying to help somebody out. I might need some help someday, and I help somebody. Well, when my turn comes, maybe they'll help me.
Isaac Fritz is not a farmer. In fact, his occupation is a diesel mechanic.
I wanted to help them out some way before I even knew Utah was going to give them any help. And I figured, well, at least maybe do something to help them.
That's great that you donated your time and all this manpower.
Well, I'm glad to be able to do it. I'm just thank the Lord I got strong back and I can use it.
One of the farmers that donated hay yesterday during Utah Hay Day was Doug Bateman of West Jordan here. Their family gathered up 10 tons of hay to send off to the southeast. Bateman doesn't know just where the hay will go or who will use it.
I guess it really doesn't matter. We don't care. We just wanted to know that we support the program and like to contribute where we can.
Bateman says the effort may be supplying more moral support than actual monetary assistance.
This is certainly going to help some, but I have my doubts that we could send enough alfalfa to really solve the problem.
Now, a lot of people have been moved obviously by the devastation of the drought in the southeastern United States. And Stan Bell of the Utah Farm Bureau Federation says even if you can't donate hay, you can still get involved.
They can make a charitable donation through the Utah Department of Agriculture by making a check out to the UDA Hay Fund. And just send that to the Department of Agriculture, 350 North Redwood Road in Salt Lake City, 84116. And that contribution will be used to help these guys down south. And obviously, Utah farmers are extending their help, even though they're in some pretty tough times and have been for a couple of years now. It's been pretty rough sledding. We appeal to the general public to get involved, too.
Drought damage to the crops in the southeast estimated at over $2 billion. The state agricultural officials say the value of Utah farmland plummeted by more than $674 million in 1985, slipping from $6.7 billion in 1984 to about $6 billion. Del Knighting of the Utah Agricultural Statistics Service says several factors accounted for the drop, including the vast tracts of land swallowed up by the Great Salt Lake and development on former farmland. Mostly, he blames the national trend toward lower farm prices that's drastically cut their borrowing power and put many farmers out of business. Well, the Cache County Fair officially opens tomorrow, August the 7th, at 9 o'clock, with judging of rabbits, poultry, market beef animals, and junior dairy at 10 a.m. Market hogs will be judged at 10 a.m. Friday, and market lambs at 1 p.m. The junior livestock market animals will be sold at the auction beginning at 12 noon on Saturday, August the 9th, at the Cache County Fairgrounds. There will be approximately 30 head of beef, 40 head of hogs, and 90 head of lambs for sale. All choice animals will be excellent for home or commercial use. Any amount paid above market price can be considered as a donation and tax deductible. Anyone is welcome and encouraged to participate and support young 4-H and FFA livestock producers at the Cache County Fair that again starts tomorrow, according to Ross Jacobson, 4-H youth agent. And the Utah Veterinary Medical Association 77th annual meeting being held at Prospector Square in Park City, starting today, running through the 8th. Dr. Alton F. Hopkins, president of the American Veterinary Medical Association, and deans from 3 veterinary schools will be the featured speakers on this year's program. U.S. Congressman from Utah, Jim Hansen, will be the keynote speaker Friday for the luncheon. And again, that's taking place at the Prospector Square Hotel at Park City. KSL News Time now, 5:50.
What is the best value in a luxury car today? Best value may not be what the initial purchase price is, but how it compares to what the car is worth in, say, 3 to 4 years when you want to trade it in. May I tell you about Jaguar? In spite of what the German car manufacturers are saying, Jaguar is depreciating at a lower rate than those well-known German sedans. And on top of that, the Jaguar costs less to purchase in the first place. In the July Kelley Blue Book, a 1983 XJ6 sedan actually increased $850 in value from the month before. Feel free to compare it to any other motor car. And besides, you owe yourself the smoother ride, the richly appointed interior, the excellent service from Valley Jaguar, and the distinctive styling. You owe yourself a Jaguar. The Jaguar is more than a touch of class. It is class. Please visit Valley Jaguar at 5520 South State. See Don DeBasco or David Bastian.
August. It's hot. KSL Radio and Meadow Gold have teamed up with your favorite water parks to deliver you from the August heat wave. Every Monday till 5 p.m. in August, you'll receive half-price admission to Wild Wave in Ogden, Cherry Hill in Kaysville, and Trafalgar in Orem. Join me, Dan Chesta, this Monday at Wild Waters, where I'll be joining you in Meadow Gold Monday from 1 till 4. Get that great Meadow Gold good feeling and enjoy a wet one on KSL at your favorite water park. The perfect escape from summer heat.
And a good morning to you. Danny Jessup in for Mark Van Wagoner. Musically in the next half hour, the Honey Drippers and maybe even a good Moody Blues if we have time. Guess what? All of last year's Dallas episodes were a dream. In fact, they were Pam's dream, or were they a nightmare? The ratings said so. We'll talk about that next hour. We've got sports, first line report, and more to come.
1160 KSL, Salt Lake City.
6:05 at the sound of the Nauvoo Bell, and Cornelia DeBruin reports KSL Morning News.
Thank you, Danny. Good morning. Residents of Preston, Idaho came close to a disaster from a fiery explosion that left a Utah man in critical condition. KSL's Melissa Jenkins reports from Preston. A Dunn Oil storage plant was threatened after a gasoline truck there caught fire.
For 2 hours, huge water cannons brought in from Cache Valley battled the blaze that firemen couldn't get close to. Over 40 families were evacuated from the area out of fear that other gasoline and a propane storage plant would also be engulfed. A Authorities say a leaking hose used to unload the tanker truck and a spark from an engine caused the fiery explosion. LaDawn Jensen saw the driver of the rig as he tried to escape the inferno.
The whole cab blew, and he literally blew out the side on his feet.
What, did he run towards
you? He came walking towards me, yes, screaming, please help me, I'm on fire.
32-year-old Stan Holyoke from West Valley is in critical condition at the University of Utah Burn Center. Crews were called from Lewiston, Richmond, and Cache Valley to help battle the blaze. Damage estimates are over $200,000. Melissa Jenkins, KSL News, Preston, Idaho.
In Michigan, a setback for the Christian fundamentalist crusade in politics. Delegates loyal to TV preacher Pat Robertson apparently received far fewer votes than delegates recruited by George Bush.
It has to perhaps suggest that that kind of linking of politics to a certain kind of evangelical Christianity may not work one particular state that is not in the Bible Belt.
Political science professor Richard Elling. The President's Commission on the Challenger disaster says the shuttle Columbia came close to a potentially catastrophic launch a few weeks before the Challenger. A spokesman says the commissioners found the mission was aborted just 31 seconds before launch after an overworked technician accidentally drained 9 tons of fuel.
They were drawing this as an example of having to be careful on working extraordinarily long periods of time in conjunction with launching one of the shuttles.
Mornings coming up in just a moment.
Are you a parent concerned with the mood swings of a child of yours? It could be depression or any one of a number of adolescent behavioral problems. Don't delay in getting help, though, because the charter hospitals have specially trained teams of mental health professionals that can help adolescents, even very young children. So call today. You'll like the personal care and concern. It's confidential, of course. Charter Canyon Hospital in Orem and the brand new Charter Summit Hospital in Midvale.
There's an adventure waiting for you in Bridgerland, in northern Utah, Cache County, and Rich County, with placid rolling hills, bubbling mountain streams, tranquil lakes, majestic canyon sculptures, towering cliffs, rugged waterfalls, the splendor of the Cache National Forest. Come to Bridgerland for a vacation or a weekend getaway. There's so much to do, so much to discover. Visit Bridgerland, yours to explore.
KSL time on the Cornelia de Bruin News, 6:03.
Residents in Salt Lake County are facing an August 15th deadline for contesting their property valuations, with 230,000 notices mailed out instructing taxpayers on the appeal process. Deputy County Attorney Mike Grobstein says those wanting the appeal need to have evidence of misvalue. Grobstein says that evidence can come from sales or purchases of similar properties, appraisals, or income statements. Grobstein says the appeals process is a public service.
People check those market values on their property, and if they're wrong, the county wants to get the right value. That's all they want to get on it. That's the Board of Equalization, to make everyone equal. Nobody likes taxes, but if you pay an equal share, it's a little easier to handle.
Grobstein notes that approximately 80% of those making appeals last year were awarded with adjustments. A final report on allegations of mismanagement of waste on the part of Utah Power and Light has been delayed until November. The Public Service Commission has granted a request by the Division of Public Utilities asking for the delay. Robert Campbell, the division's special attorney, says the division has just gotten into the key issues and will be taking some oral depositions.
After the deposition testimony is completed, and the division needs somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 45 days to then review, assemble, evaluate all the data that has been accumulated over a year and a half of this investigation, and then to write its report to the Commission.
The final report had been due this month. The allegations in question are linked to former Emory mining employee James Simonelli. 2-year-old Michelle Funk, who survived being submerged for an hour in an icy creek, returned home yesterday afternoon. When Michelle was rushed to Primary Children's Medical Center June 10th, she had no pulse and a body temperature of 68 degrees. But after an 8-week miraculous recovery, hospital officials decided Michelle was well enough to go home. Physicians attribute the miracle to a little understood human reaction to cold that slows life functions and to support medical care. 6 Davis County children have come down with measles. It's the first report of the disease locally in 2 years. State Disease Control Director Craig Nichols says the outbreak started with a 4-year-old boy who had not been immunized and had visited California.
I think the most important thing for parents to realize is that even if there are large numbers of children immunized, like there are in Utah, and even if measles is a rare disease, that those children that are not vaccinated can be exposed and they can become ill, that it's a very infectious agent.
Nichols says that a new study shows that eliminating measles completely may be impossible. Health officials once believed the disease would be eradicated if 95% of children were immunized against it. A permanent injunction has been issued against Trans Power Manufacturing Incorporated and its president, ordering the company to cease promotion and sale of tax shelters immediately. The final judgment by U.S. District Judge Bruce Jenkins was signed by Trans Power President Benjamin Huston and government attorneys in the case. Specifically, the injunction prohibits the promotion of and sale of interests in various tax shelter programs operated under the names of Wind Energy Equipment, Free Wing Turbine Energy, and Trans Power. Further, Judge Jenkins told Trans Power to disclose to the government the names and addresses of all investors in the tax shelter programs. The only criticism Supreme Court Justice nominee Antonin Scalia has heard in his confirmation hearings concerns the issues of women's rights. And today he'll hear more of that when representatives of groups, including the National Organization of Women, will testify in opposition to his nomination. According to Utah Senator Orrin Hatch, Scalia is a judge who decides cases on legal merits and not political merits. He addressed Scalia directly during Tuesday's hearings.
I personally believe that the Supreme Court will benefit a great deal from your expertise in administrative law. And I expect you to become the person who can really untangle some of the thickets that have existed on the Supreme Court through the whole lifetime of the court in that particular area.
Hatch challenged critics who charge Scalia is not a booster of First Amendment rights and women's issues. A Utah legislator wants to boost the manpower of the Utah Highway Patrol by more than twofold. State Representative Ron Fulmer says the battle against drunk drivers is lagging because of the lack of state troopers on the highways. Right now, 250 troopers are on the road. Fulmer wants to boost that figure to more than 600. Check of the weather coming up in just a moment.
Are your office personal computers being used to their full potential, or is your system just thrown together? You can utilize your computer equipment more efficiently by networking. That's what Recore is all about. Recore manufactures the equipment and provides the setup, the training, and most important, the follow-up and maintenance. You can concentrate on your business. Recore will integrate your computers into an organized system. Call Recore at 328-2638. Just dial DataNet. Recore is IBM compatible.
KSL News Time is 6:08.
Are the potholes and cracks in your driveway in need of repair? Or do you need a new resurface to dress up your home or place of business? Call Bidey's Asphalt Patching. Now is the best time to do it before winter months get here. Bidey's 25 years of experience is sure the job will be done to perfection. Call Bidey's Asphalt Patching today for a free estimate. No job is too weather in the wall. Call 466-6882. 466-6882. At Bidey's Asphalt Patching, we make life smoother for everyone.
Weather for the Wasatch Front, partly cloudy with widely scattered thunderstorms today and tonight. Variable cloudiness Thursday with widely scattered showers and thunderstorms. Highs 90 to 95 degrees both days, and lows tonight in the mid-60s. Chance of measurable rain 20% through Thursday. The extended forecast Friday through Sunday, calling for partly cloudy weather with widely scattered afternoon and evening thunderstorms, mainly in the east and south portions of the state. Highs in the upper 80s to mid-90s in the north and 90s to 105 in the south. Lows mostly in the 60s. Right now in downtown Salt Lake City at 74 degrees. I'm Cornelia DeBruin, KSL News.
Good morning, everyone. Howard David with Sports World Roundup. The oil can returns, but Boston wasn't slick enough. And the doctor returns to make more house calls. Details in a minute.
Fred was at his desk when he made the first call.
Hello, Bob. Well, I'm not sure. Hold on while I call Frank on my other phone.
Hold on while I call Frank on my other phone. The first fatal words.
Hello, Frank. Bob's on the other phone. Huh? Hold on, Frank. Bob, I gotta call Mert on the phone the next desk.
Fred headed to the next desk. The course of events was irreversible.
Yeah, Murph. Listen, Bob and Frank on the other two phones here in my office.
Fred did have an alternative. AT&T Alliance teleconferencing service. All he had to do was pick up his touch-tone phone and call 0700-456-1000 for a crystal clear conference call with 2 to 58 locations.
Frank, hold on, Murph. I'm getting tangled up in all these phone calls.
To the Alliance teleconferencing service, Fred could have had one conversation with everyone at the same time, and thus he could have prevented 3 separate cords from circling, coiling, and surrounding his neck until... Now simply pick up your touch-tone phone and call 0700-456-1000. AT&T, the right choice.
Dennis Oil Can Boyd, the owner of one of the more interesting nicknames in sports, returned to the Red Sox last night for the first time since his suspension on July the 10th and pitched well, but he gave up a 2-run home run to former Red Sox catcher Carlton Fisk as the White Sox beat Boston 3-1, and the Bo Sox dropping their 15th game in the last 21.
I think everybody's just trying to do it all themselves right now. Everybody's trying to get a 2-run home run with nobody on.
That sort of arithmetic doesn't compute Marty Barrett, but the message is clear as Boston's lead in the AL East is down to 2.5 games over Baltimore as the Birds rip Texas 9-2. Now, while Boyd wouldn't talk after the game, Fisk did. He appreciated also the position that Boyd was in.
I'm sure he was a little apprehensive about the reception that he was going to get, but the fans treated him real well. He pitched real well, and everybody has their problems, and hopefully everybody hopes his problems are behind him.
In addition to the pressure that Baltimore is putting on Boston, Detroit is making their presence felt as they swept the doubleheader from Cleveland 6-5 and 11-9 with Lou Whitaker hitting 2 home runs in the nightcap. So the Tigers moved to within 5 of the lead. Although Milwaukee's in last place in the East, they're only 9 games behind after beating New York 2-1 in 10 innings. Kansas City over Toronto 8-6. California supported Mike Witt's 12th win with an 18-hit attack in the Angels' 13-1 whipping of Minnesota, and Oakland shelled Seattle 10-4.
Walt Dabney is Chief Ranger of the National Park Service.
When you get out to look at Yosemite Falls, lock your car. Don't leave valuables in view. A professional thief can get into your locked car faster than you can get in with a key. If you're going to leave your vehicle, take your valuables with you or lock them in the trunk.
This message on vacation protection is brought to you by American Express Traveler's Checks. Wherever you go this summer, don't take cash. Help protect your vacation with American Express Traveler's Checks. Don't leave home without them.
In the National League, Montreal blanked Pittsburgh 3-0. Cliff Speck, an 11-year minor league vet, earned his first major league win as the Braves beat the Padres 3-2. St. Louis topped the Phillies 7-4. Ron Say's hot bat led the Cubs over the Mets 8-5. Say now has 7 straight hits. The Reds whacked the Giants 11-6. Houston stopped LA's winning streak at 8 games with a 10-2 win. Julius Erving has reached an agreement with the Philadelphia 76ers to play this season and forego a bigger deal with the Utah Jazz. The doctor said it was a family.
Hello, Bob. Well, I'm not sure. Hold on while I call Frank on my other phone.
Hold on while I call Frank on my other phone. The first fatal words.
Hello, Frank. Bob's on the other phone. What? Hold on, Frank. Bob, I gotta call Mert from the phone on the next desk.
Fred headed to the next desk. The course of events was irreversible.
Yeah, Mert. Listen, Bob and Frank are on the other 2 phones here in my office.
Fred did have an alternative. AT&T Alliance teleconferencing service. All he had to do was pick up his touch-tone phone and call 0700-456-1000 for a crystal clear conference call with 2 to 58 locations.
Frank, hold on. Mert, Frank, oh boy. I'm getting tangled up in all these phone calls.
Teleconferencing service. Fred could have had one conversation with everyone at the same time, and thus he could have prevented 3 separate cords from circling, coiling, and surrounding his neck until AT&T Alliance teleconferencing service. Now simply pick up your touch-tone phone and call 0700-456-1000. AT&T, the right choice.
Dennis Oil Can Boyd, the owner of one of the more interesting nicknames in sports, returned to the Red Sox last night for the first time since his suspension on July the 10th and pitched well, but he gave up a 2-run home run to former Red Sox catcher Carlton Fisk as the White Sox beat Boston 3-1, and the Bo Sox dropping their 15th game in the last 21.
I think everybody's just trying to do it all themselves right now. Everybody's trying to get a 2-run home run with nobody on.
That sort of arithmetic doesn't compute Marty Barrett, but the message is clear as Boston's lead in the AL East is down to 2.5 games over Baltimore as the Birds rip Texas 9-2. Now, while Boyd wouldn't talk after the game, Fisk did. He appreciated also the position that Boyd was in.
I'm sure he was a little apprehensive about the reception that he was going to get, but the fans treated him real well. He pitched real well, and everybody has their problems, and hopefully
Everybody hopes his problems are behind him.
In addition to the pressure that Baltimore is putting on Boston, Detroit is making their presence felt as they swept the doubleheader from Cleveland 6-5 and 11-9 with Lou Whitaker hitting 2 home runs in the nightcap. So the Tigers moved to within 5 of the lead. Although Milwaukee's in last place in the East, they're only 9 games behind after beating New York 2-1 in 10 innings. Kansas City over Toronto 8-6. California supported Mike Witt's 12th win with an 18-hit attack. And the Angels 13-1 whipping of Minnesota. And Oakland shelled Seattle 10-4.
Walt Dabney is Chief Ranger of the National Park Service.
When you get out to look at Yosemite Falls, lock your car. Don't leave valuables in view. A professional thief can get into your locked car faster than you can get into the key. If you're going to leave your vehicle, take your valuables with you or lock them in the trunk.
This message on vacation protection is brought to you by American Express Travelers Checks. Wherever you go this summer, don't take cash. Help protect your vacation with American Express Travelers Checks. Don't leave home without them.
In the National League, Montreal blanked Pittsburgh 3-0. Cliff Speck, an 11-year minor league vet, earned his first major league win as the Braves beat the Padres 3-2. St. Louis topped the Phillies 7-4. Ron Say's hot bat led the Cubs over the Mets 8-5. Say now has 7 straight hits. Reds wrecked the Giants 11-6. Houston stopped down
KSL on the Honey Drippers. Robert Plant and the Sea of Love. 6:17. The Mark in the Morning Show with Danny Jessup. Green River 70 degrees this hour. 57 at Roosevelt. Some clouds at Doug Way in 73. Leighton reports in with 69. Salt Lake City at the airport 72. And clear 73 here at Broadcast House. Partly cloudy, some widely scattered thunderstorms today and tonight. Variably cloudy on Tuesday. Showers and thunderstorms again. 90 to 95 for the high. And the overnight low.
Howard David, CBS Radio Sports.
Drew County Farm Implement in Shelby invites you to stop in and see the new Suburban 1500. Listen to these features: air conditioning, high-altitude emission, 40-gallon fuel tank, heavy-duty transmission cooler towing package, front quad shocks, AM/FM cassette stereo, 4-speed automatic with hubs, rear cab heater, electric windows, electric door locks, tinted glass. This Sierra Classic is blue with frost white trim. A good reason to buy now is Drew County Farm Implement has financing low at 6.9%. Be sure and use only genuine GM parts and service.
This is Martha Snyder, and you're tuned to my favorite radio station, KSEN.
And Bobby and Pam are going to remarry. This is according to an article in USA Today. Jenna, though, will discover that she is going to have Bobby's baby. Keeping with the time, Dallas will do that. Sue Ellen, Linda Gray, incidentally, who's not very happy with Duffy's return. She says she likes Duffy, but she's not real thrilled about the macho image of Dallas coming back. Sue Ellen's going to find a way to become JR's equal. And Jamie Ewing Barnes will survive the car blast. So there you have it. That's what you expect. You know, maybe now we'll stay home on Friday nights again and watch Dallas. You know? I mean, last year was kind of a disappointment, so we'll see if they can, well, move back into what, the number one. That's what they want, is number one. We'll see if they can do it again this year, huh? Carver, where's that cook there before the first pack last night?
Right on your desk, Mr. Carr.
Where?
Right here, under the salmon vulture.
Clearer, sharper documents than you ever imagined in seconds over ordinary phone lines and on plain paper.
AM stereo music is on the air.